How's it going, everybody? My name is Mukhtar Ramadan. I am a backend developer, but today I came with a full stack project. Initially, this project is going to be called Weatherly. Um, so, from its name, it's actually a weather API, but we are just going to make it as a full stack app. Um, so we're going to also code the front end. So as we're going to take care of the deployment as well. Um, so with that being said, let's just jump in the project. So before we begin, this is actually an easy level back end or full stack project, since we don't have really a um, what we call a probably a sophisticated technology or something to know. So yeah, so that's an easy project. You definitely want to try it out if you're a beginner. It was inspired by roadmap.sh. I'm going to leave the link for that article in the description of that video. So with that being said, let's just jump to the project. Okay, so the architecture is pretty easy. We got a user interface, which is going to be our front end. In our case, that the thing will show us the temperature, the you know say the search bar to navigate and whatnot. So we're going to have our weather API that we're going to code ourselves, and the weather API is going to mainly going to do two things. Of course, more regarding authentications, regarding tokenization, and all of those. But mainly, it's going to do two things. The first thing is caching, and the second thing is sending requests and receiving response from a third-party weather API. So this project is we're not gonna use a like database for storing temperatures and weather data. However, we're gonna rely on a third-party weather API for that mission. So what we're gonna do is basically we get a request from our UI to our weather API about a certain city, say Cairo, for instance, where I live. So when our weather API receives that, the first thing weather API is going to do is it's going to check the cache, the Redis cache. It's going to check for that city. If it exists in the cache, we're just going to return the data right away to the user interface. If it doesn't exist in that case, we will just normally send a request to the third party API and then return the response to the user. But in this case, we're going to have to cache that respond to our database. In case if for the subsequent requests in the future, we'll just get it from our Redis instead of requesting that again from the third party API, which will make our application efficient. So the project description. So Weatherly is a web application designed to provide real-time weather data to users, built using Node.js and Express.js on top of it as a framework to handle the routing and all that. The API delivers current weather information and forecasts by leveraging a third-party weather data provider. Weatherly allows users to easily query weather conditions for various locations. Additionally, the service offers daily information, keeping users informed about weather changing, and forecasts based on their preference and location. So there is a feature that where you can um, tell us where you live and when do you want us to notify you with the weather updates and whatnot. So that's absolutely possible. So learning objectives. There's not a lot to learn if you're intermediate level, but if you're a beginner, there's a lot to learn. Definitely a lot. So you're gonna be proficient using Node.js and Express.js um, as well as MongoDB, Redis, and whatnot. So you're gonna understand the idea of caching and the importance of caching and reducing latency and API load. So that's also important for a backend developer and full stack developers as well. We're gonna discover best practices for integration for integrating third party APIs, since we're gonna integrate a third party API for our weather service. We're going to explore different front end technologies. In that case, React. Of course, you can explore whatever you want to explore. We're going to learn to implement our notification system, because when you sign up for notification, we have to of course send you the notification, so we're gonna have to deal with that. The technologies in the back end are, mainly Node.js and Express, Redis as a memory caching system, and our third-party API as well, will be integrated. So we can, play with that. If you just want to do your own stack, you want to use your own stack, you can use, you know, say Django and Postgres. You can use I don't know, say Flask and MySQL, whatsoever, whatever stack you feel comfortable with it, you can just use it. So for Redis, I'll use LRU, which least recently used algorithm, um, which means we're gonna discard we are gonna discard the least recently used values in caching, um, and insert the new ones instead of them, because we don't want to flood our memory with cache. So sometimes we will have like cities that are not being requested a lot by our users. So those ones, they are actually already cached. But those ones we want to replace them and put the cities that are actually most requested. So that's the caching algorithm we're gonna use. In addition to that, we are gonna set the value as the city key. So say Cairo, whatever the city key is, with that's the key, and the value is going to be the temperature or the weather, the weather data, which is going to be a hash set in that case. In that case, yeah. So as well as we're going to set an expiry date, or an expiry time for it, which going to last only for 5 hours, because after 5 hours the um, weather will change and we'll have to send a new request to the third-party API to get the latest updates about the weather. So technology used in front end, again, that's pretty personal. I'm going to use React.js. I'm going to use HTML5 and CSS3. I'm also going to use web push for notification handling. You can use whatever you want. It's not really a religion. Challenges. So I would say handling asynchronous operations, especially for someone who, this is the first time I deal with Node.js and the async thing and non-block and no block, or I think, yeah, non-block and IO. So that's a little bit challenging. So API rate limiting. You don't wanna you wanna limit the requests that go to the third party API, because more requests means more money. So you want to limit that using caching and error handling and whatnot. We're going to implement efficient caching using Redis and implementing the LRU algorithm, user authentication and data security. In case if the user signs up for a notification program or the notification feature, we want to secure his data, and we want to authenticate every and each user to make sure that everything is working smooth. The notification delivery again and user management. This is also something we have to worry about and make sure that the right users are getting the right notifications based on their preferences. Handling real-time data flow, which that this it's not really real time, like real-time communication, like Socket IO or uh, or like maybe WebRTC or something. But yeah, so it is what it is. Real time here means that requests and like as the temperature always updates, so that's a little bit considered to be real time. So with that being said, that's the project basically. I'm just gonna go ahead and implement it, and I'm gonna make a video about it after I'm done. Feel free to go ahead and implement this yourself using your own stack. It's a great project if you're a beginner or intermediate. You can practice a lot of stuff um, doing this. So that was it. Um, Thank you for watching and have a lovely day.